pickles. They're tangy, they're crunchy, they're delicious. The big question is, are pickles actually good for your gut health? I've got a personal story that might surprise you, and it might shed some light on how pickles can impact your gut, especially if you're healing from chronic illness and working on any sort of gut healing recovery, like I am. A while back, I was so excited to dive into some new gut healing foods. A friend of mine had brought her lacto fermented homemade dill pickles over for me to have, and I knew how powerful and potent that those can be. I thought, I'll try to have a little bit of the brine because I knew that the brine is going to be full of beneficial probiotics. Thought it would be an easy win, but it didn't really go as planned. Almost immediately after, I came down with this incessant fatigue and even nausea for a bit, and then this prolonged period of brain fog and fatigue. I didn't think much of it at first, but this fatigue ended up lingering for around a month, and I had no idea what could have caused it. I didn't think for a moment that it would have been the pickles until I tried another spoonful of the brine, thinking again that I'm going to help to replenish it. I found it in the back of my fridge after people had eaten the rest of the pickles, and I did it again, and once again I experienced this incessant fatigue, extreme brain fog, and nausea. And this time I had some kind of like bowel upset, which at this point then realized it was definitely the pickles. Turns out I was experiencing something called a die-off reaction. What exactly is a die-off reaction? A die-off reaction is when you introduce something good, particularly something therapeutic to the body, whether it's nourishing or probiotic filled, or even sometimes something that would be killing off the pathogenic bacteria, that something that you're introducing that is attacking those harmful bacteria in the gut. These probiotics were doing just that. They were essentially killing off the pathogenic bacteria. My gut was being populated with beneficial bacteria that was then strong enough to start to rebalance out some of those pathogenic bacteria species. Bacteria is kind of like a broad overview word that I like to use to encapsulate anything like yeast, fungi, bacteria, parasites, anything that is in the category of pathogenic or not as beneficial to your body to have in large amounts. But a die-off reaction can essentially make you feel way worse before you get better. And that's what I was experiencing, especially since brain fog and fatigue were something that I was coming to this gut healing journey trying to heal from. It was very confusing to me that when I introduced something good for my gut that I actually would experience what I was trying to get rid of. But essentially my body was telling me to slow down, to slow the intake of those beneficial bacteria, because the reality is they're so potent that even though they are good for you, you need to actually start with very, very small amounts of them sometimes, especially if you are recovering from a very damaged or leaky gut. Even though it was just like a tablespoon of pickle brine, and that sounds like so ridiculous that I could react this badly, some people actually need to start with a drop diluted in a gallon of water and take a drop of that at first, because these probiotics in the fermented brines, like pickle brine, show up in billions, if not trillions at a time. And so you actually really have to start small so that your gut can get used to building up, and that was not what was going on for me. I went full-fledged in on having spoonfuls of it, and needless to say, I was just not ready for it. It was too intense. I needed to back off and slow down and really watch and listen to my body for when it was ready to move forward and increase the amount. I have a whole video on fermented brines if you're interested in taking a deeper dive into how they can be really healing for your gut. But if this sounds confusing and you'd like to take a deeper dive into healing your gut and really exactly what strategies are going to make the biggest impact on your chronic symptom, take a look at the description box below. I have a free 10-step quick guide to gut health that is going to help you get started on healing your gut and give you a really clear step-by-step. So are pickles good for your gut health? They are absolutely good for your gut health. They are a fermented food, meaning that they are full of beneficial microbes that your gut needs in order to have proper immune system function, in order to heal and repair leaky gut, which is going to then resolve lots of maybe chronic symptoms you've been experiencing. And the beneficial bacteria in your gut actually produce vitamins, which is interesting. So many people who are depleted of like essential vitamins like vitamin K, vitamin B, those actually can be produced in the gut by gut bacteria. So having a really good amount of probiotic brines in your diet is going to be really helpful. So they're great for your gut, but, and this is a big but here, you really want to slowly introduce them at the capacity that your body has at that time, which might be smaller than what you would think. Start really small, whether it's a bite of a pickle or a diluted drop of the pickle brine. Overloading your system too quickly, especially if you're coming from a place of recovering from a lot of chronic illness can lead to reactions like mine. And just to be clear, you're looking for lacto-fermented pickles, not the kind from the store that have vinegar in them. That's actually going to have the opposite effect because vinegar will kill off the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria. And if you're looking for a quick 5-minute recipe, I will have a link to the blog post which has the full written recipe out in the description box below. But remember, healing is not always linear, and sometimes things seem to get worse before they get better. That doesn't mean that the food itself is not good. If you've had any surprising reactions to fermented foods, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your stories. And it is my goal with this channel to take you from confusion and overwhelm in your health to clarity and peace so that you can conquer your chronic symptoms naturally. Thanks for watching.